Welcome back to Pinnacle Insiders.
Pinnacle Insiders brought to you by Duncan Chiropractic Group.
Blue, let's talk about these two games we've got going this week. Playoffs are here. Can't say it enough. First up, Wayne, what do we got?
We have Chris Mitchell versus Joe Cito.
All right, so we're going to do Spielman Conference first. Mitchell versus Cito, like we talked about before. Two teams sort of backing into the playoffs, but Cito won his division fair and square. Both at 6 and 7, looking to make their mark on the playoffs. Cito was here last year. This is Mitchell's first time in the playoffs. Let's talk about Mitchell a little bit. Loss of Fred Jackson hurts his team. Do you see the flex spot in his lineup as a question mark right now?
Yeah, I see the flex spot as a question mark, the tight end as a question mark, and his third receiver as a question mark. He's got Jacoby Jones, Aaron Hernandez, who's a good tight end, but he doesn't get the attention from Brady that Gronkowski gets.
As we know, first broken here on Insiders, Brady is a racist.
Exactly. He's going to go to the white guy over the Latino. And then he's got Pierre Thomas, who's only projected for 1 point, and there's 4 backs in that on that team. So who knows who's going to be the back, and it's usually not Pierre Thomas.
Usually not. On the other side of the game, we've got Cito. With the late-breaking news this week, Fred Davis being suspended for the last 4 games of the regular season. Is that too much for Cito to overcome? Does he already have... I mean, Fred Davis isn't his team, but does he have enough left to overcome that loss of Fred Davis?
Well, he did make a move to get Jacob Tamme. At least he's got somebody serviceable. Jacob Tamme, as we saw last year, without Dallas Clark. He can score the points, he can catch, he can make some plays. We don't know who the quarterback is, even when they do have a quarterback, Orlovsky or Painter. I don't know how much that's really going to help, but he can get some points. It is serviceable, but he's not going to be able to get in the end zone like Fred Davis can get in the end zone.
So we talked about some of Chris's question marks. Maybe a plus this week. He's finally getting Miles Austin back. Is that a huge help going into the playoffs, getting a guy like Miles Austin back?
If Miles Austin gets 1 catch, it's better than what his alternatives are, which is
Nothing.
Yes. Right.
And, you get a guy like Miles Austin back, but what you hope is he can be any sort of remnants of what Miles Austin can be. For Cito, he's got some question marks at wide receivers. Which ones do you think give him the best shot to win?
He's got 1 wide receiver that is a must play, and that's Jordy Nelson. The rest, you throw their names in a hat and pick them out. Although I do like Nate Washington, and sometimes Titus Young can be a big play player, but I don't know if he's still going to be punished for some of his antics on Sunday night.
So we talked about the wide receivers a lot. We talked about the tight ends. The one thing we didn't talk about might be the most important thing in this game. Both of these guys come in with 2 studs at running back each. Do you see this game as a battle of the running backs to determine who wins it?
These 2 teams are going to score their most points, potentially score their most points, and they're going to always have somebody break out for a big game. But potentially their most points are going to be scored from the quarterback and their 2 running backs. So, yeah, whoever has of those 6 players, whoever has the biggest game has a chance to win this matchup.
All right, so let's do some over-unders. Let's talk about these players, maybe who they should start, who they should sit. What are we doing tonight?
Well, for Chris, the over-under is Miles Austin. He's projected for 5 points at home against the New York Giants. The G-men.
The G-men of New York. I'm going to take the over only because I think they held him out last week as a precaution. I think they could have played him last week, but I think they were they're going up against the Cardinals, which, retrospect, maybe they wanted him, but didn't want to rush him back, make sure he's fully healthy. 5 points is so low. If he gets 3 catches, chances are he's going to be above that. So I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to side with you. I'll take the over also. I think that he will be, if he's in there, they're going to use him. They're not going to put him in there for a decoy. They're not going to have him in there if he's not ready to be in there. So, yeah, if they're in there, they're going to use him. They're going to target him. They're going to throw to him. Yeah, he catches 3 balls, easy over 5 points.
Absolutely. What's next on Cito's side?
The next question, the next over-under for Cito is Flacco. at 23.62 projected points. He's at home against the Colts.
I am not only going to take the over on this, I am going to make a bold prediction on this set. I believe that Joe Flacco is going to outscore Drew Brees in this matchup.
Wow.
Not because of Joe Flacco, not because of Drew Brees, because of the Colts defense. This matchup could not come at a better time for Joe Cito. Also having Ray Rice going up against the Colts. I think Flacco has a monster game. Somewhere in the neighborhood of a pinnacle record for quarterbacks. All time. Playoff record, regular season. I see Flacco having a big day against the Colts. So I'll take the over.
I'm going to take the over also because for the same reasons. If you have somebody playing against the Colts on your roster, you play them.
Wayne, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I think this game, it's either or. It's either Rice going to go off or Flacco's going to go off. I don't think both of them are going to go off at once. Just like last week with a good matchup. Well, it wasn't a good matchup. I take that back. It wasn't a good matchup for the passing defense of Cleveland. But it was a good run matchup. So I take that back. But either way, I think they're going to run the ball, run.
So he's taking the under? You taking
I'm
the
taking
under?
under.
You're taking the under. Interesting. All right, let's pick this game. Our first playoff predictions. I'm excited. Blue,
There's
who
a
do you
lot to
like?
look at. A lot to look at in this game. I think Chris has the two best players in this game. He's got Breeze and McCoy. Those guys can put up a lot of points in a hurry. What hurts him is his wide receiver depth. But if Miles Austin comes back, Steve Smith against Atlanta, not too friendly of a defense for wide receivers. But those receivers come back. If Miles Austin comes back, if Aaron Hernandez gets a couple looks in the red zone, Chris could have a good game and pull this out, but I don't see that happening. I like Cito's matchups, Flacco and Rice against the Colts. I like Turner at Carolina. Carolina's got the worst run defense in the league. Turner's going to get his points. Also, a little foreshadowing there, I think that Turner's going to get a little bit more attention there than their passing game in Atlanta. Jordy Nelson's going to get in the end zone. So I'm going to go with Cito. I think it's going to be a close one, but his matchups are just a lot better right now.
I'm also going to go with Cito. I'm not going to repeat any of the things you said, even though I agree with all of it. I would also look at a sleeper reason for Cito to win this game, and that's Mike Tolbert going up against the Bills. I think he sneaks in with maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns to pull this one out for Cito. The Vulture. Wang, who do you like in this one?
I'm going to take Mitchell on this one. I think Frank Gore against Arizona, that's a great matchup. And I think it's about time for Steve Smith to go off.
Okay. What's next up here, Wang?
Next one is the 9-4 Dale versus 8-5 Montana.
Okay. This is an exciting one. Dale got the bye last year. Has to play in the first round this year. Montana expansion team. We've talked about it a lot, how exciting that is. We're going to get into that a little bit more in depth with our surprise guest later in the third segment. Let's talk about this game. First thing we want to talk about, these two teams played in the last week of the regular season. Do you think there's anything we can learn about this playoff matchup based on last week's game?
Well, they went head-to-head last week in a bloodbath, both scoring over 140 points. They had a big matchup, a lot of touchdowns scored. But saying that, I don't think we learned anything. I think different matchups. I think we've got, without Forte in, we got a different lineup. Both teams are going to have a little bit different lineups than last week. But it's a new week. Anything can happen. Matchups, I don't know if we can really tell anything from last week.
All right, so when you look at Dale's team, the first thing that comes to mind is he's got a lot of good running backs who are scoring a lot of points. But the problem is he can't seem to get the right ones in his lineup. So I hate to use the word inconsistency, but what do you see at the running back position for Dale? How is he going to overcome a lot of problems he's had lately with running backs being left on his bench?
Well, I think that the issue is sometimes he's leaving the bombers on the bench. He'll leave somebody that has a huge game. He doesn't always necessarily get it wrong because even the guys in there are usually scoring enough points to get him wins. 2 weeks ago, he missed out on a win, and he had 4 guys on his bench score over 20 points. But some of those guys were a little bit quiet, and they finally broke out. One of them was Wells against a really poor defense. I don't see Wells repeating that anytime soon. He's got some tough matchups. But with Foster, Mendenhall, and now Halou, that looks like a feature back. He's got 3 number ones. Those guys are all dangerous. They can all get in the end zone. So I think that, yeah, he may miss out. He's got Wells and he's got Kevin Smith. He may miss out on some running backs that could score some points. But I think if he goes with those guys, I think his running back position will be strong.
We addressed it in our first segment. I don't want to spend a lot more time on it. Is Forte being out enough of a reason for Montana to lose this game?
Yes, but it doesn't mean he's going to lose, because even without Forte, last week he scored 144 points. So now he's going to have a replacement player in there for him. I think with the talent he has on his team completely, I don't think he can miss him. I mean, he's going to miss him, but I think he can still win without him.
Okay. Dale, we've talked about it for the last few weeks, his quarterback position. Which matchup do you like better this week? They're both kind of good, I think. Eli versus the Cowboys or Matty Ice versus the Panthers?
This is a tough one. I think both games could be shootouts. It's a tough one. Yeah, they're both. I think Carolina's a little bit stronger against the pass, but that may only be because they're so weak against the run. Saying that, I think Atlanta gives Turner more of a chance to win that game for them. In New York, you still got Bradshaw coming back. Jacobs never really took the reins when he had the chance. So I think that Giants offense is still centered around Eli. I think Eli against Dallas might be the play here.
All right, and then on Montana's side, you like the matchups for Dale, his quarterbacks, his running backs. Montana's got some tough matchups with his wide receivers. Reggie Wayne going up against Baltimore. Brandon Marshall going up against Philly, who's not been good, but they've been good against number 1 wide receivers.
And he's going to have to play against
Asamoah. Once again, I guess a little bit of foreshadowing of what our picks are going to be. Is that too much for Montana to overcome?
I'm not sure. I don't know. You got to look at his wide receivers against Dale's wide receivers. Right? Dale's wide receivers they have a lot of guys that get a lot of targets, but don't necessarily get in the end zone. So even if on Montana's team they only get a few catches, if that goes to the end zone, it can make up the difference.
All right, so let's do some over-unders for this one.
Okay.
What do you got for us tonight?
Okay. For Dale, over-under. Not in his starting lineup, but Deshaun Jackson at Miami, 10.1 points.
As much as it pains me to do it, and I'm surprised, I'm going to take the under. I think for him to get to 10, he needs a touchdown, and it needs to be 1 catch deep. And he's not getting that this year. So I take the under.
As much as I want to take the over, all it takes is 1 catch with him. Because if he gets a half of inch of daylight, he's gone with his speed. But as we saw last week, he's not playing football right now. He's jogging through routes. The quarterback's not even looking at him. And when he is, he's not looking at the quarterback. They're completely out of sync. I'd be surprised if he even plays the entire game.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to take the under. Wang? Deshaun Jackson.
I think I'm going to take the under because, I think his team's not behind him anymore. Who wants to play with this guy?
Absolutely.
Dog killer? Oh, well, maybe.
Maybe.
So I'm going to take the under.
Okay, what's next?
Over-under for Montana. Let's go with Gronkowski at Washington. It's a huge number, 24.30. Last week he had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He had 3 more this week.
Listen, I think he does. Maybe not 3 touchdowns, but I can't bet against him anymore. I'm going to take the over.
That number, he's actually projected to be to have a Pinnacle record this
Right.
week. 24.3 is going to put him top 5. Which 3 of those top 5 positions this year are
It's him.
Gronkowski. He's been over 24.3. Saying that, I don't know if he does it 2 weeks in a row. I say he gets in the 20 range, but 24.3 is a ton for a tight end. I'm going to go under.
We're unfortunately running short on time, so let's make some quick picks. I'm going to take Dale. I think all those things we talked about with Montana, too much to overcome.
I'm also going to go with Dale just because of the consistency. If he doesn't have his guys break out, he's still going to get his guys at least, around the 10, 12-point range.
Wang?
I'm going to go with Dale. I think we have about a minute left, too.
Oh.
I'm going to go a minute over.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm going to go with Dale, and I'm going to give Dale the Wang tip of the week.
Just the tip.
Of the week.
Which is to start Eli. If he's not starting Eli, he's not going to win.
Well, there you have it.
We have it.
So we're going to be right back. We got a